Greetings, and thank you for joining us for the 19th episode of DC Animation with Spenser and Friends. This is an LMG Podcast Production. Today, I am joined by not one, but two dear friends.
This is Brandon.
And this is David.
Oh, but not just any David. No, it's Mister Percival today.
Mr. Percival.
Can't have any confusion. Even though I guess he introduces himself as Darth David now. But
Right.
Anyway. Yeah. Brandon and Mr. Percival are here joining me today. You have heard their voices before. If you recall, you heard Brandon on the very first episode of DC Animation with Spenser and Friends. And you heard Mr. Percival on the second episode of DC Animation with Spenser and Friends. And there's a reason I've brought them both back today. So for Brandon, again, he was here on the first episode, and so it only made sense for me to bring him back for the first movie within the DC animated movie universe. Now, technically, the last movie we talked about is the first one, if you want to really get technical, but that one leads into this one. And so this is the first movie that exists in that created universe. In the last movie, we see that universe kind of get started, but this is the first movie we see that takes place in it. And I brought Mr. Percival back because he was in our first animated Justice League origin movie. And since this is a Justice League origin movie, I want to get his perspective as far as the differences that he saw and how it compares to the one that he saw the first time, because they are very, very different origin movies. And so, of course, these are the two people that I just knew needed to be on this episode. You've heard their voices before. You know why they're here. You know their experience. You know their lives as far as DC is concerned and their consumption. And so we'll just jump straight into it. I do appreciate you for being here and joining us on this journey through DC animation. Today's film is Justice League War, released February 4th, 2014, and the comic book on which it was based is Justice League Origin. As is the standard around here, I'm going to read a synopsis in my own words, and then we're just going to talk about it. And so, we open with a news story about people being snatched in Gotham City. Hal's Green Lantern shows up and comes face to face with a parademon. He gets beat up a little, and Batman shows up trying to interrogate the parademon, but obviously that doesn't work. So Batman and Green Lantern begin chase and find themselves in the sewers where they formally introduce themselves. They discover that the parademon planted a mother box in the sewer. Over at Star Labs, Silas Stone is researching another mother box that has been planted in Central City. Billy Batson sneaks into Victor Stone's football game, and Wonder Woman is being protested at the White House. Green Lantern and Batman make their way to Metropolis because they figure, alien box, Superman's an alien, he'll have answers. Superman also has questions about the mother box, so he fights with Green Lantern and Batman. Batman quickly realizes that they are not going to win this, so they swap government names, and now they're on the same team. Due to some meddling, the meddling that has taken place, Darkseid decides to move forward with the invasion to happen sooner than scheduled. Victor and his dad have a heated discussion about how his dad cares more about his work than his own son, so he grabs the mother box and it activates. The one in Star Labs and Metropolis open a portal, and parademons start popping out. Victor is severely injured, and Silas takes him into a machine in an attempt to keep him alive. Victor flatlines, but then his body starts to absorb the tech, turning him into Cyborg. The parademons bust in, and Cyborg is able to take them out. So everybody got parademons. Wonder Woman's in DC, GL, Batman, and Superman in Metropolis. Flash is over there with Cyborg. Even Billy got some action. So, he Shazams up and starts getting it going. Cyborg communicates with the mother box, and we see how the parademons are made. Living things are abducted, and their organic material is repurposed, turning them into parademons, minions of Darkseid. Through fighting the parademons, everyone meets up, and Cyborg lets them know that Darkseid is planning to terraform the Earth, and things are about to get real serious. Darkseid has arrived. Green Lantern attempts to go one-on-one with Darkseid and gets bitched, and Superman gets hit with an Omega Beam and captured. Green Lantern gives everybody a little pep talk, and Batman goes to get himself captured with the purpose of bringing Superman back. Green Lantern and the others come up with a plan to blind Darkseid because the Omega Beams are a problem, and they start to, get to work on that. Batman gets into the ship, and Desaad is attempting to turn Superman into a super parademon. Batman is able to stop Desaad from turning Superman into a parademon, but Superman is all kind of violent and rampagey now. So, not a parademon, but still an issue right now. Everybody else manages to stab Darkseid's eyes, but he's still causing a problem. So Cyborg uses the mother box to create a portal to send him and the parademons back home. Through the power of friendship, Batman gets Superman back to himself, and they are able to get Darkseid back into the portal. The president addresses the world and thanks them for their bravery, and they disagree on whether or not they should, make this a thing. Some of them want to be a team, and some of them are like, no, this is a one-time thing. I'm busy. We don't need to do all that. The credits roll, and before they finish, Orm rises from the water and declares war on the surface dwellers because they have killed the Atlantean king. And so, Mr. Percival, let's start with you. What do you think about the movie?
Darkseid is a problem.
Darkseid is a problem.
And for those who didn't hear me last time, I don't have a ton of knowledge when it comes to these DC animated films. So I'm really glad you're doing this show where you go through each one individually and review it and talk through it. But yeah, the first time you see him, and then he rises up when he's back on Earth and rises up in the ship or whatever he's in, and just like that slow, just kind of zoom in on him, it's just like, they threw everything at him, and he just kind of shrugged it off without even reacting to anything.
Yep.
He just like Green Lantern, nope. Wonder Woman, nope. Just everything that was thrown at him, he just kind of almost laughs at.
Yes, and Darkseid, that's the thing. Darkseid is the kind of problem that warrants people having to get together to deal with him. Because as we know with comic books, and I'm sure you've noticed this, but in a lot of comic books, and we'll use the big two as examples. We have Marvel, we have DC. You're pretty familiar with the MCU, of course, and I'm sure that you have seen people that are copycats or that kind of equal out to somebody. So did Darkseid remind you of anyone?
That first shot of him has the Thanos look about him.
Oh, yeah.
And also, if you just think of the MCU and think of Thanos, he just kind of has that smug, I'm better than you, just persona about him. And I feel like that was portrayed pretty much identical in this. Yes.
And so I would say that those two are the equals or the answers to each other. Of course, DC did it first. Darkseid, I believe, has more time in the game than Thanos does. But, whatever. Darkseid is my favorite DC villain. I love Darkseid. He is too much. And we saw that in this. Darkseid was too much.
Yeah.
And, best believe there's a movie later that we talk about. And if you think Darkseid is too much in this movie, just wait. Not spoiling anything, But I just want you to understand that, and I'm sure that you knew this, but this is not the last time we're going to see Darkseid.
I assumed
Right.
as
And
much.
and the good thing is, this is the first movie that exists in a continued living universe. So a lot of the movies that we're going to talk about moving forward are in this same world, the same timeline, that they exist in the same place. Much like we had Batman the animated series, we had Superman the animated series, we had
Right.
Justice League, we had Justice League Unlimited, like all of that existed in the same universe, like with its own name. And this is the first film for that. So there are going to be a lot of movies that we talk about that are solo movies for some of the other people that are in this universe, but that exist in the same universe. And I will make sure to make it clear whether or not the movie we're discussing exists in the DC animated movie universe moving forward or not. So, Brandon, what
Hmm.
were your thoughts on the movie?
I really enjoyed it. And I was told Spencer before, like I read the comic book, the Justice League Origins by Jeff Johns, and I really enjoyed that one. It was honestly it was cool because they like honestly some of the scenes were literally dialogue for dialogue, scene for scene from the comic book, but they did it in a cool way, and I think they did it. They had it the comedic element with Hal Jordan gave you a little bit of that. So did Shazam, but I also loved, me. I'm a Superman fan, so I feel like they did a really cool portrayal of Superman where he wasn't a lame. He like as soon as he pulled up, he was like, "Oh snap! Like he's a badass." You know what I'm saying? Like so no, I thought they executed really well. It's kind of sometimes it's harder to execute off a comic book and try to get it right because it's a very popular comic book. I think it kind of started the New 52.
Oh, there's
But
no kinda. Like it
yeah,
absolutely, like that's
right.
what this is.
So it's so like that is like what people go back to when they want to know like what started it all. So it's very popular. So it's kind of hard to adapt from, but they did a really good job. Like they added some stuff, took away Aquaman out of it, kind of just focused on a certain group. I think they even put Shazam in it to kind of replace them. So no, it was overall I really enjoyed it. I thought they a really good portrayal of pretty much all members of the Justice League, and then like you said, Darkseid looked like a boss. You know what I mean? uh, when he had um, when he had Superman and Flash like on the run from is it Omega Beam?
Yeah, the Omega beams.
Yeah, he had him on the run. Oh, and then when he hit him, like you saw his skeleton, like that's a callback to Superman the animated series. Yeah, like they did that all the time. So no, I really enjoyed it.
Yes. I'm glad you brought up the new 52 because that is one question that I feel like a lot of people have is like, why is it called that? Like, what does that
Right.
mean? What's the deal there? Now, I don't know all of the details, but as far as I remember, the 52 is in reference to DC releasing a comic book a week one every week for a year, making 52 issues.
Right.
And that concept was really popular, and then they, I think, even morphed that into, just so you know, there's a multiverse and there are 52 of them.
Right. Right.
And that's kind of how the new 52 happened. And yeah, like the number 52 has a lot of weird significance in the comic book and in the like publishing world.
Right.
So they double entendre the number 52, if you will. And that is why we have the new 52, because again, the new 52, as you may or may not know, with comic books, they reboot it every so often,
Yep.
and the new 52 is just another one of those. The comic books ran from, I want to say, 2011 to like 2016-ish.
Hmm.
And they, with the new 52, this was a hard reboot, but also a soft reboot. It was a hard reboot in that like we're starting from scratch pretty much, but a lot of the origins were the same. Like
Yeah.
there were like a lot of individual character origins were the same. The stories that were being told around those characters were a little different, but how each of the characters got where they are, pretty the same. And so that's, the whole starting of the new 52. And, they used Barry to reboot it. And I mean, I think that was a good choice. Now,
Yeah.
let's get into some of the things that happen in the movie. So the first thing we see is somebody get snatched just off the street.
Right.
The first time I watched this movie, I was not prepared because it was just like news story, news story, news story, rape. Like that
Yeah.
person disappeared. They were
Right.
gone. I was like, oh no. Like, and I had to rewind it. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, that it did. Whenever I have to rewind something, like it's because I like wasn't ready, and it
Yeah.
didn't take long for me to be like, oh, hold on, wait, I need that back. And I say Hal's Green Lantern because, of course, there are multiple Green Lanterns, and my Green Lantern is John. That's the Green Lantern that I grew up with. That's the Green
Same.
Lantern that I knew as Green Lantern. And I was kind of pissed off when I found out that John wasn't the first one or the original one. Justice League made a good decision, including him instead of Hal.
Right.
I don't necessarily have a problem with Hal. Hal's not my favorite Green Lantern, but Hal's not my least favorite Green Lantern either.
Yeah, some bad ones.
There's some
bad ones.
Yeah, there's some not great Green Lanterns, but Hal is the OG, if you will, and so they have Hal in here, and Hal is funny in this movie.
Really funny.
Like I really like Hal, and Hal is just a dude. Like I like that because one thing we do know about John is, generally speaking, that's a military man.
Yeah.
Like he's serious more often than not.
Right.
Hal cracks jokes, and
Yeah.
Hal is he's shooting the breeze nice and easy.
Yeah.
Nothing's ever too much, too serious. That's just kind of how Hal is. And
when I think of Hal, I think of like a dude that's in like Top Gun Maverick, like like classic dude having a good time, just so happened really good at flying planes or whatever, or jets. But no, he's a bro. Like he's a bro all the way through.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
his back and forth with Batman is just fantastic.
Yeah, hilarious, because it's like contrasting so much. Like what, you don't have superpowers? Like you're not a vampire? Like what do you mean?
And so let's actually get into before we jump all the way into the movie. That's actually a question that I do have. What are we thinking about the voice cast in this movie? Because this is and this is an important question, because this voice cast is kind of locked in moving forward for a while.
Yeah.
Because DC does have a lot of movies that stand alone, but again, this is the movie that exists in the continued universe, and it is the first one. So this is establishing a lot of things. So what do we think of the voice casting? Do you have any opinions about it at all?
I don't have any specific thought. I mean, I thought they did a really good job, and just looking through, if you were to look up the cast, there's obviously a lot of recognizable names and faces, just looking through. But no, I think Superman, I mean, just going through just the top 6 or 7 people, if you just go through the Justice League, it's like I thought they all did a great job.
Yeah, no, they killed it. Honestly, I thought the Batman cast like hit it out the park. It's kind of hard to come behind Golly, R.I.P. Forget my guy's name. Is it
I'm not gonna help you. I'm gonna let you get there.
Conroy.
There you go.
Conroy. Yeah, I knew it was Conroy, but I was like, I'm not gonna reach on his name. Kevin Conroy.
My guy, Kevin.
Kevin Conroy, the greatest voice actor potentially ever as far as superheroes are concerned. And so it's kind of hard to follow that. But I thought he did an amazing job as far as Batman. And then everybody else is really good too. Like I thought it's kind of hard with Superman. We've seen Superman have like this like very kiddie like when you watch My Adventures of Superman, like his voice is very different. Whereas this one sounds like a grown man Superman. You know what I mean?
And he needed to.
No, he did. He sounded like a badass, which is what they wanted to portray him as. Hal was hilarious. Like I thought that voice cast was good because it was very like more comedic. But no, I thought everybody did a good job. It was a really good foundation for what they did moving forward.
Okay. I agree, generally speaking. I think that the guy who played Superman in this movie, he's good in everything he does, and he's usually doing comedy. I know him in a lot of random comedy stuff. He is there's a show called Resident Alien. He's the guy in that. Where I first remember him is in Dodgeball. He was the pirate dude.
Yeah.
That's what I know him from. And
also in Knight's Tale.
Yeah, like he's in all kinds of stuff.
Well, he was the voice of Sonny in iRobot, which like to me that just shows his range of what he can do, because that's obviously completely different than this role.
Right.
And that's the thing, like he can kind of do whatever he wants. Like he's very, very good. And he's been in other DC stuff too, because I'm pretty sure that in the Injustice video game, he's Green Arrow. And one of the things that I love that DC does is they keep people around. They will reuse people. They will put people all over the place. And so he's a guy that, like, once you get him, yeah, you can put him wherever you want to put him. In the Harley Quinn show, he's Clayface.
Oh, wow.
And Clayface is an actor. He's a thespian. Yeah. So that shows you his range right there. Like to be able to play Superman successfully and to be able to play that version of Clayface.
Yeah.
Are wildly different characters.
Yeah, I never would have put that together.
Exactly. That's the thing. Like, my guy is good. I will say for Batman, this is my third favorite Batman. Because and he's tied for 3. Of course, Kevin Conroy, the GOAT.
Right.
There are no questions about that. I gotta say Bruce Greenwood is my number 2. Bruce Greenwood is Batman in Under the Red Hood and in Young Justice. And so when you hear him, like whenever I heard him, I was like, oh, that's not Kevin, but that's Batman though.
Yeah.
Like, and to make me feel that way is difficult. I really liked Peter Weller in The Dark Knight Returns, parts 1 and 2. Because those are my favorite Batman movies, period. But Jason O'Mara is the Batman in this one. And I will say his voice took me some getting used to, but because this is a continued universe and we get a lot of him, he grew on me. And I was like, it's different, but it's not a bad different.
Yeah.
Of course, Diana was good. Hal was good. Barry was good. Shamar Moore felt random, but I was like, okay.
Yeah, of course.
I kind of feel like since he was in high school, they probably should have gone younger.
Yeah, he sounded like a grown ass man. Like, he sounded like he was 30
man. Yeah.
He was an high school quarterback.
And maybe that was to speak to, because I guess he was a senior because he was being scouted and all that. But yeah, like he sounded far older than he probably needed to.
Also, I want to point out a small detail. Him as the quarterback and having a glove on his throwing hand, I was just like, what are we doing?
Makes perfect sense. Don't worry about it.
No, I was just like, okay, somebody who doesn't play sports did this.
That's how it is in most movies.
That's true.
Like I know this is obviously animated, but it's like these actors that will just like throw football like they're. I mean, yeah, it always,
there's memes of
something.
It, right? Like, I was like, when I saw that, it kind of took me out a little bit, but I was like, all right, whatever, it's fine.
And that's not something I would have caught because I don't know. Like,
yeah, no, I think that's what they banked on. Like, it was just like,
I don't football. There'll be a bunch of nerds watching this. It's fine.
Who cares?
Oh, that's funny. But yeah, I will say I'm not necessarily saying that Shamar Moore was a mistake, but I don't think if anybody didn't fit, I think it was Shamar Moore as Cyborg, just because he should have sounded less like a grown-ass man, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
But I still liked it. It was still good, but and I mean, I think that the show Teen Titans made Cyborg way more comedic, and I think they were trying to lean into the tragic Cyborg situation.
Right. Gotcha.
And so I think that's why they went way more serious this time, because whenever we see Cyborg in Teen Titans, you'd have no idea that he has a tragic history.
Right. You look happy to be there.
Yeah, like they do have an episode that kind of covers that, but I feel like every time I saw Cyborg after that, I got his, horrible origin story about him feeling like a monster and him, just questioning his humanity and, not wanting to be seen, like all of the negative things that would come with that. I feel like they leaned into that a lot harder because in Teen Titans, you didn't get any of it really.
Yeah.
And so they wanted you to know he's a tragic character.
Right.
But, okay. And then this is an art style that we're going to see for a while. So what did we think of the art style?
I didn't mind it. I mean, it was a little close to anime for me, but it was far enough to where it was like it wasn't distracting or anything. The only time I ever felt like anime was when Cyborg like was in the transformation, or when he was like, changing his arms or whatever. But overall, no, I enjoyed it. I mean, I thought they did a good job.
Okay.
Yeah, and I thought the action, I was going to say the action scenes, but in reality, like 60 of the 80 minutes of this movie were probably action.
Yeah.
So, I thought they did a really good job with that. All the explosions look nice, just them flying around. I did think it was funny how Darkseid, whenever he was coming in from like the ocean, he just like was all propped up like a mannequin and just like hovered in. Like he didn't fly in. He just kind of like
Right.
slowly moved in as he was like
smooth.
yeah, it was very smooth.
I loved that actually.
Again, he just did what he wanted. But no, I thought it was great. I thought it looked really nice, and the fact that you see it more often in upcoming movies, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Okay. I will say I really enjoyed this art style, and I'm not going to call it my favorite yet, but of the movies that we have seen so far, I want to say this is my favorite art style. Just because everything looks nice and crisp, and I think it does a good job of like being animated without being too much. It still looks comic booky, but not like too comic book. Like it looks like an animated, like it's 2D animation done well, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And my agenda with 2D animation, and yeah, like I just feel like everything was drawn and rendered and done well. And in this set of movies, I know it's animated, but like the choreography is really good.
No, it is.
And this art style lends to really nice action choreography, whether it's like hand-to-hand street level stuff or whether it's Superman flying through shit and all of that. Like it's just really good to me.
Yeah.
But so in the movie, we see somebody get snatched. Hal shows up, comes face to face with the parademon, and he gets his ass beat a little bit. I will say it was kind of funny that Batman was like, "Hey, I have questions," to the parademon.
Right.
Yeah.
Now we do see that the parademon, I guess, does speak English, because later he does say "for Darkseid." Right. But Batman, I don't know if that thing's gonna stop and answer your questions.
They're just gonna have a friendly little debate, there in the street.
Yeah, that's funny. I will say that's kind of straight from the comic a little bit. Like they kind of tried to in the movie, they tried to like make it homage to like Batman doing it, but in the movie, in the comic book, it's just a parademon like has a coat on. You can't tell it's a parademon. So he's like running after. He's like, "What the hell are you doing on the docks?" And then the parademon blows up, and he's like, "What the hell?" You know what I mean? So I could see them like trying to do that, but in this, it was kind of weird that he like clearly saw eventually that it was a parademon and still was like, "What are you doing?" You know what I mean?
And there's no way to know like which aliens can communicate, which ones can't. So I guess
I will say
it was fair.
The uglier, the more I'm gonna go, you probably don't know what I'm saying.
Yeah. Like, honestly, yeah, like the less humanoid or the less human looking, the more likely I'm gonna be like, you know what? I don't think we're gonna, I don't think this conversation is gonna go very far.
Batman mostly deals, just with the thugs in the streets in Gotham. So
it's true. That's true. And yeah, usually his interrogation tactics are successful.
Yeah, they usually spill the beans. Yeah.
And yeah, like he does mention like this is something that I do. I don't do this.
Right.
This is new for me. So they end up in the sewers, and then they, kind of introduce themselves. And we see how cold Batman is, because Hal is, being like, what do you do? What are your powers? And Batman doesn't say anything. And he's like, I know you're not just some dude in a suit, like tearing through the night. And then Batman's like, hey, what's this? And just rips his ring off of him. And I'm like,
yes.
And Hal should have at that point known, like, oh, this guy.
He's different.
This guy different. Because, yeah, like when he was like, what? Like, Hal was not cool.
Right.
Like, he was like, you should not have been able to do that.
Yeah, it was smooth. That was really good.
Yeah,
that was good stuff.
And that's one of the things I really enjoy, situations where they let us know how cold Batman is without needing to say it. Like, there's just stuff Batman does, and you're like, oh, he's that guy.
Yeah.
This is one of those things, because to take a ring off of a Green Lantern and they not know it is impressive.
Very much so.
So, yeah. And, they're at odds because they are very different personality-wise.
Hal just was like, I'll do it. I'll take it. I was just like, bro, you're not built like that. Like, I don't know who you think you are, but...
And that's the thing. Hal gets humbled in this movie.
He does.
And, I mean, it also takes a conversation with Batman to get him there. But, yeah, like, Hal gets humbled real quick. One of the things online, and we'll talk about this part of the movie later, but one of the things online, or that I saw, everything gets memed. And so it was a meme that said, whenever you've been playing a fighting game offline and then you go online.
Oh, yeah.
And Darkseid is the people online that, like, count frames. And that are just like too much, because people be thinking they're real good at home.
Yeah.
And then you jump into the world and it's like, oh, all right.
Yeah.
That's like playing NCAA football with your brother, and then you play
Exactly. Like, your brother will have you thinking that you are the greatest in the world, and then you jump into the world and you see, oh, I am not shit in this game.
Right, yeah.
Or, oh, they're cheating.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, like all that. But, they have a discussion in the sewer, and then we have the situation with the Parademon planting the mother box, and then we move over to Central City. So Silas is studying another mother box, and we see that Silas and Flash are in the same place, and Billy. So I don't know how close these cities are geographically. I assume this movie led me to believe real close.
You would think so. But...
Yeah, but like, who knows? They may be on different coasts or whatever. But we see that Billy is, very much a fan of Victor Stone, and his dad kind of isn't. And one of the things that his dad says to him is like, what you can do doesn't matter in a world of superheroes. Like, you are not impressive.
Right.
And I want to say that's terrible, but he's not wrong under the circumstances. You don't say that to your kid.
That's my thing.
Wanting to build a life. That was not good parenting necessarily. But I mean,
no, I'm not even going to defend it.
Right. Right.
Hey, Dad, I'm going to my state championship football game. Well, son, you're just kind of the worst.
Right.
And
the shit you can do is irrelevant.
Yeah, all that stuff you like doesn't matter. What I'm working on matters. It's like, damn, like,
it's pretty terrible. Again, like, not great parenting there. Not gonna say that. That was just the thing to say, because I wouldn't say that to a stranger, let alone my son.
Right.
No.
Like, to call somebody irrelevant is like, that's one of the like most terrible things you can say to somebody. Is like, it's not that you're even like bad, or just like, you don't matter.
Yeah.
You make no difference. Like, that's wild.
Right.
And so the more I talk about it, the more like unacceptable it is.
Yeah, thank you.
Because
Spencer, we were gonna have a problem if you kept defending this.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Silas, you shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was trifling for him to just be like, I will never come to one of your games. Like, that was trifling to me. Because it's like, even if you have no interest in it, even if it's something you don't care about, even like this is your kid.
Right.
And like, I know that there's some shit my parents had to suffer through
Same.
that I was doing. Because once you're older, like it actually starts to become like good stuff. Whether
Right.
you're an athlete, whether you're an entertainer of some kind, whether you're doing some kind of performance, like you got to get through all of the like shitty little kid stuff, and then it gets real good later. Because I know
Right.
that my parents coming to my concerts when I was in 5th grade, and my parents coming to my concerts now, very
Right.
different experiences.
Right.
But they
And
loved
so,
you either way.
and that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Like the fact that Victor is at the highest level of this, and his dad
Yeah.
was like, "Hell no, I'm not coming to your game.
Yeah.
You ain't
No
shit."
show.
I was like, "Oh, that's terrible."
Right.
Hey, but don't worry. At the end of the movie, he gets a head nod.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He
that makes
does,
up for
but
it,
that's
right?
because he's being addressed by the president. Like,
Yeah, he
that's
saved
one
the
of the,
world, so he gets a head nod.
yeah,
Yeah.
like you're not
A
irrelevant
hug.
anymore, son.
Yeah. Can't get a hug. Can't get a dab, a strong handshake. Bring it in. Nothing.
Yeah, and that, yeah, I will say the calling him irrelevant part was terrible, and I didn't like it. But whenever he said, "No, I'm never coming to one of your games," I was like, "Oh, that's terrible." Like I don't like that at all.
Right.
Like, and it's not that he can't; it's that he won't. Like
Won't. He
he said,
chose.
like I could go, but I'm making the conscious decision not to.
Right.
Like, ugh,
Instead of
that's
going to a football game, I'm going to open up this portal to this
Yeah.
alternate universe and almost kill everybody.
and he didn't know that's what, like, he was working to figure that out, because I guess for Silas, he figured, I'm trying to save the world or keep the world from, like, I have to do this to know what the deal is. But not knowing that going in, yeah, like, no, I'm gonna make time for my kids' football game. And
Absolutely.
I'm not a football guy.
Right.
But if my kid is playing a football, you know how terrible graduations are?
Yeah.
Like,
Worst.
it's a number of hours for you to listen to them call a bunch of names that you don't care about, and then they call your kid's name, and you're there for that 20 seconds of them being handed. Like, that's what you're there for. You're there for 20 seconds of that fucking 3-hour ceremony.
Right.
But you're there because your kid did it.
Support, man. Victor Stone could learn. He could learn
Brandon's in the last like 25 people of his class.
Oh, absolutely. My parents could have showed up at halftime and been fine.
But yeah, so that's just, again, they got to lean into Victor's life just not being great.
Right.
And the whole reason because I don't even know, like, this is a very different version of angsty.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess that's still what it would be, but like for a really good reason.
Yeah.
And again, because he like presented as a grown-ass man, him being angsty was weird.
Yeah.
And I don't think we recognized it as that, but that's what it was. And so there are a lot of things that happen between those two things. So Wonder Woman is being protested at the White House.
Right.
And that's, I would have loved some more detail on that.
Same. I didn't understand it.
It sounded to me like they didn't like her because she was a woman.
And representing the Amazonians.
Yeah, because they were like, whenever she was like, "Y'all are protesting me, what for? Like, what's the problem?" Yeah. And the dude was like, "You dress like a whore." I was like, "Oh, that's your all right. Right. Great reason to have an issue, sir. Thanks for that." And that's why she was like, "Yeah, oh, I do.
Right.
How about you tell everybody else how you feel about this whore outfit?"
Right.
And then when he said he dresses like her and it makes him feel powerful, she was like, "That's what I thought."
Yeah, that was a funny scene.
Yes, it was. And that's the thing, like Wonder Woman is often funny the same way that Thor's funny, in that like he comes from an old world and he doesn't understand, and new
Yeah,
things, like stuff that's normal for everybody else, is like new and exciting.
like ice
And
cream.
yeah, like ice cream. Because in the first Thor movie, he has a beer and he's just another. Like that's hilarious. And
It is.
this is that same, like, she was like, ice cream is delicious. And then she goes to the guy and is like,
Pulls
I
her sword out
require,
on him.
I require an ice cream for myself and my friend here. And he's like,
yeah.
You can put the sword away, ma'am.
Like this, like 6 foot woman just slinging a sword at you. It's like, whoa.
Yeah, like, oh, you didn't need to do all that.
Right.
Here's your ice cream. And then, she was like, ice cream is delicious. I have declared it. Sir, you should be proud of this achievement. Like that kind of shit. Like that's why she's funny. She's funny because she's like oblivious and like very clearly from an old world. And,
Right.
It's a trope that can be done well or poorly.
Yeah.
So we get back to GL and Batman, and they go to Metropolis because they're like, this is an alien, and there's an alien dude that we could probably ask some questions. He's the only alien I know about, so let's go see. So they go to Metropolis, and I will say that I think is one of the most, as Brandon said, I think that's one of the most well portrayed Superman moments that we have ever seen in any moving media.
No, I agree.
At least, up to this point, because, everybody has the, who wins in a fight, Superman, Batman, like all those discussions. And, we all make the joke of, does he have prep time? And, all that. He didn't have prep time, and it was a problem. Like
right.
Green Lantern and Batman were getting their ass beat. Like,
bro, the first time I watched this, and this is before I read the comic, I was legit scared. I was like, oh, he might murder. I knew he wasn't gonna murder Batman, but he might accidentally murder Green Lantern. Like,
I thought Green Lantern was dead in this movie.
Yeah, Green Lantern was in real danger. And that's the thing. Green Lantern, again, his hubris was not getting him in the right, because he was like, oh, don't worry, I'll take care of it. He just goes in there, we see some green flashes, and Superman is beating his ass. And then, because they don't know each other yet, Superman sees Batman, he's like, oh, what can you do? Right, might be a real challenge. And Batman starts doing human shit. Superman is just unaffected.
He's just laughing.
Yeah, like you're wasting my time, buddy.
Right.
And then the thing that again made it clear for me is whenever Batman tried to like grapple away and Superman went and caught it, and I was like, oh Batman, that's not good.
Yeah,
Batman, that's not good.
Bro, when the smoke came and then he looked through, like used his eyes, I can see you. I was like, bro, that's some horror movie type stuff.
No, that was.
Yeah.
I can see you.
Like, I can still see you.
Yeah.
I was like, uh-oh. But whenever he tried to grapple and Superman just whipped around, caught it, and crushed it, I was like, this is not good. This is, and I think that's when Batman knew. He was like, oh shit. Like, we Hal, we gotta do something.
Yeah, he was like, Hal, stop. You're pissing him off.
Yeah, that's what he said. He was like, Hal, he's getting pissed off. Just shut the fuck up, Hal, and stop it. And then whenever Hal created the bubble, Batman was like, you better concentrate.
Yeah.
Because if you stop concentrating, that bubble gonna crack. It's not gonna be good. And then,
he was hitting him hard.
And then Batman is like, oh, I'll just use my mind because I know things. I'm Batman. Right. And hits him with the government name. And then Superman looks at him and he's like, oh, okay, I know who you are. And again, I love the fact that Batman wasn't prepared for Superman because they had never interacted. So he didn't have the lead lining that he gets later. He didn't have any kryptonite on. Like, he knew nothing. He went in blind. And a lot of another thing that we see in this movie is we watch Batman deduce and figure shit out. And that's one of the things I love watching, is Batman actually like doing detective shit and like making sense of what's happening and actually learning the situation, devising plans in real time. Like, these are the things that I like to see Batman do. And we get to see that because, again, this is an origin movie. We don't know, like in the New 52, like none of these people have met. They don't know each other. We see them all meet for the very first time. And it's done beautifully, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's a little reactive in the first like 20 or 30 minutes. And then as it goes on, you can tell he really did think through his plan. And even, obviously we'll get to it later, but when he goes to save Superman, it's like, you can just, the way he clearly thought out his plan was just way different than the first 15 minutes of the movie.
Yeah. That's like, I don't know. My favorite Batman is when he's the human in the room and he got to figure out how to survive when a bunch of aliens and gods and all this other stuff going on. Like that, like I like the detective stuff in Gotham. That's cool. But like in situations like this where he's like, you know what, I'm just go up there. I'm gonna act like a human. I'm gonna act like a regular human, put on a cap on my head. They're not gonna know it's me, so they can take me up there so I can go get, you know what I mean? Little stuff like that. I think it's cool. Like when he was like, he had a knife on his right and his left hand side, so he must be right-handed. So then I was just like, bro, this is fire.
See, that's what I'm saying. That's the shit. Like, I like deducing and figuring shit out in real time. Like that. That's my shit. Like, that's why I love Batman. And one of the things that you mentioned is like, whenever he's in a bunch of superheroes and he's just the guy, and so he's kind of got to demonstrate, like, I have to be a level of crazy that everybody else isn't. We see that in episode 9, where we talk about Superman, Batman, Apocalypse. And that's another, encounter with Darkseid. And in that situation, Darkseid, has a bunch of bombs that are going to explode. And Batman is the hell spores. And Batman was like, I will set all these hoes off right now. All of them. And Darkseid was like, you dare? And then Darkseid was like, you know what?
Respect.
I fucks with you because you were going to do it.
Right.
The Kryptonian and the Amazon, they wouldn't have, but you were really gonna do it.
Right.
Batman was like, yeah. Because zero fucks given. Batman lives by the wish creed. So Darkseid sees the meddling that's happening, and Desaad says we should probably move things up because these Earthlings, they're doing stuff, they're getting in the way. And so all this like prep work that we're trying to do, that I think we need to just go ahead and get it going. And Darkseid's like, oh, all right, let's do it. Move up the timeline. And so after that, after Darkseid decides to move up the plan, that's when we see Victor have the conversation with his dad. Now, Mr. Percival, how familiar with Cyborg were you up to now?
Teen Titans, and that's pretty much it. I've seen him in a few other things, but I mean, I think the vast majority of what I knew about him was from Teen Titans, and like you said earlier, he was a little less gloomy in Teen Titans. So,
and that's the thing.
I mean, going through this was a good like insight into his life and how obviously absolutely miserable his whole life is.
Right.
And one of the things that we see is, yes, we do see that Cyborg is a lot more sad, but we also see that Cyborg is a lot more capable, because one of the things that we don't really see with early Cyborg is his connection with the mother boxes, and thereby the knowledge that he has and his ability to make boom tubes and all of that. We see that later, but later being like in the 2010s, but we don't see any of that really from him before that. And so kind of moving forward, a lot of the versions you see of Cyborg, he's got the connection with the mother box, and he's able to create boom tubes, and he's able to just connect to all the technology on the globe and just like know and do whatever he wants as far as technology is concerned. Like he's technopathic, and he's able to do a lot more because I think that they kind of folded him into the main lineup for the Justice League kind of moving forward. Like he graduated from Teen Titans to like Justice League. Because another movie where we see him is in episode 13. We see him in Justice League Doom. He's the reason that movie he's the reason they come out with a W, because he's the one person Batman wasn't prepared for because he wasn't in the league yet. And so when he shows up, he saves the day. And, you know, he uses a lot of his technology to do it, because in Teen Titans, we kind of just see him like turn his arm into a cannon, and that's the extent. And we see him like working on his car. Like that's what we see Cyborg do. So we get to see a lot more of how capable he is. And we see that same kind of thing happen. If you've seen the new Blue Beetle movie, it was a similar thing in that technology fuses with him, it communicates with him, and it eventually, you know, control becomes one between the two of them, as opposed to the machine taking over in certain situations. Like they eventually become symbiotic. And so, you know, we see that kind of all the time, all over the place. It's one of the superhero tropes, but I think that this movie does that well in letting us know that he is now connected to technology and it will defend him as it needs to, and then he becomes one with it. He's able to use it in his own way, and he becomes proficient eventually. So yeah, we see that happen because he didn't know the mother box was going to explode when he grabbed it.
It's true.
But it fucked him up.
That's what I liked a lot about the transformation. It wasn't like a pretty transformation. It was very like ugly, and like you felt bad. You were like, oh, this dude is, like you said, miserable. Like it sounded like it was a lot of pain, a lot of like skin getting ripped up and burning. Like it was just like you felt every effect of it all.
Yeah, because whenever he came out of it, he had limbs missing. Like he was like he was in bad shape. To the point where his dad was like, I know we have not, my son will die with that. Like, put him in the fucking machine. I will not lose you today. Put him in the machine. Like, I know we haven't tested it. I know there's just nope, we don't have a choice. Put him in the machine.
Well, then whenever he came out of the machine, he immediately got the crap beaten out of him. And then so it's like he was basically killed, and then put in the machine, tortured, and then basically died, and then came back, and then just got beat up.
Heart stopped a few times.
Yeah, because he flatlined. Like he was dead.
Yeah, he was dead.
And then the mother box was like, no, we'll just fuse to him. All this machine shit, we'll just take it. And then we saw like him start grabbing other machine parts and like incorporating them. Yeah.
That was fun.
That was nice. I was like, ooh, okay. Like I really liked seeing, like, this is the best version of seeing Cyborg's origin, in my opinion. Like seeing how this happened, how he got here. And honestly, whenever he was like, Dad, you had to turn me into one of your experiments to love me, I was like, that's not quite what happened.
Right.
But I see how you got there.
Right.
Like under the circumstance, yeah. Like I see why you think that.
Right.
So
you could be in heaven right now if it wasn't for your dad.
Like your dad kept you alive, and he was like, "You call this living?" Yes, I do.
Yeah, you're speaking to me, so yes.
Yeah, you're absolutely alive. I know you can't play football anymore, but you're alive.
I mean, he could.
He could. He'd be a strong left tackle.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You want to talk about having a
You're running left
for an arm.
every time. You're running left every time.
Oh my god.
Imagine pulling him.
Yeah, you got cannons out. Dude's like, all right, you can go.
And that's the thing. Shazam makes that joke. Like Shazam was like, they always said you had a cannon for an arm, and now you do. Like, a little too soon, Billy, but all right.
Right, exactly.
So the parademons bust in, Cyborg's able to take care of it, and so then everybody got parademons. Wonder Woman's reaction was great. Wonder Woman was like, yes, a fight. Let's fucking go.
I like that.
I love Wonder Woman. And
Yeah.
every time I see Wonder Woman, I'm like, yes, Diana, let's fucking go.
They usually they're pretty much like they've never really missed with Wonder Woman as far as like DC animation. Like they do her right every time. She has a great introduction. She has a great fight scene in every single one of them. I remember that one with Big Barda was fire and that one move. Like
That was
there's so
Apocalypse.
many. Yeah, exactly. Like it don't matter what. Like they might not do everybody. Usually they do pretty much well at everybody, but Wonder Woman, they like. I feel like they go into movies going, "Are we doing Justice League? Or we're doing a Wonder Woman? But she gonna have her, solo moment."
Yeah.
You know,
And I don't know if that's because she's the only woman in the Justice League
right?
for a while, but the
Yeah,
fact that like she's known as a member of the Big Three, like that's
right. The
she
Trinity.
is, yeah, she is important. And again, I love Wonder Woman every time I see her.
Yeah,
Like they do her so well because she went through some comic book time and it was not a good time to be Wonder
yeah,
Woman.
right.
But yeah, like in this, oh, I love watching Wonder Woman go to work. It's
Yeah,
one of my favorite things to see in movies, and this was no exception. She got in there and she started working.
yep. She was just slicing them in half. Everybody else was like punching. She was just like, "Nah, I'm."
It's just like, no, we're ending that because that's one of the things that I have said in many of these episodes. Who don't have a problem spilling blood? It's Diana. Like
yeah,
over in Themyscira, yeah, we kill over here.
yeah. Like the
Like
fact that she went sword up into your head, your skull, like it was just some very murderer type of way of killing
Yeah, it
somebody.
was brutal.
yeah,
Yeah,
she
Her
was
and
ending
Batman
lives.
don't have the same mindset when it comes
right,
to fighting.
Absolutely
right.
not. And that's the thing. Like Batman and Superman are very like no killing. We don't do that. Green Lantern, he doesn't kill.
Right.
Flash didn't kill. Wonder Woman's like, fuck them. Like I am here to end this. Like we finish shit in Themyscira.
Yeah, this is war.
Like, ain't gonna be no round two. Ain't gonna
Right.
be no coming back. So yeah, Wonder Woman, she goes for blood. She goes for the throat. Yeah, she finishes the job.
Yep.
If you ever see me in the forest fighting with a bear, help the bear.
Mystical.
I love Wonder Woman. Anyway, Wonder Woman gets some action. We see Superman, Batman, GL doing stuff. Everybody's fighting parademons. So Cyborg figures out how the parademons are made. So we see why people are being snatched.
Right.
And it doesn't even have to be people. Like any living being with legs essentially can be snatched and repurposed into a parademon. And that will be far more relevant later. Way later. We're going to talk about it way later. So remember that I said that because we're going to talk about it way later. So they're fighting with the parademons. Somehow they all end up together. And it's a good thing they all end up together because Darkseid shows up and we see him just rise and then he just gently floats.
Yeah.
And again, I love it. I
love sweat.
Yeah, like he doesn't walk, he doesn't actually like fly because he can fly. Because we see him do it later. But yeah, like he just because I love it when Darkseid is just standing still with his hands behind his back.
Oh yeah,
like
he's always posture top tier.
Like yes, spine aligned.
I mean, it almost looked like a video game glitch of something that should be flying and it's just like slow.
Yeah, it's facts.
Sliding across.
Yeah, I love a smooth glide where like feet aren't moving, but you're moving.
Yeah,
like I love
taking
that.
his time, man. No rush.
He went in a rush, but he was like, I am death.
Yeah.
I am destruction. I
Darkseid is
Darkseid. And then he shows them who the fuck Darkseid is. And my thought is, so Green Lantern, when you tried to square up with
Oh
a
my God.
parademon, it didn't go well. When you tried to square up with Superman, it didn't go well. So you thought that you was just gonna run up and punch that guy.
Right.
That's how you just watched what are you doing?
My
And
dude just like one hand breaks his arm. His
Yeah.
hand was his whole arm.
yeah, that's the thing. Like that's the thing. Like, he tries to, use like a little he like makes a Green Lantern fist, and like Darkseid responds immediately.
Yeah.
Like, in a lot of those situations, they'll like take the punch and they'll like show that it didn't do any damage.
Right.
And, like, they slow it down. No, it was like bow, bow, like immediate. Like,
Yep.
how fucking dare you put your hands on me? And then when Green Lantern landed, the parademon started.
Yep.
Yeah, like, and I was like, yes, I love what just happened.
Deserved it.
Yeah, he
Deserved
earned it. Like, he earned that ass whooping.
That was the second time I thought Green Lantern would die. And
Yeah.
then when he broke his arm later, I thought he was just gonna, I don't know. I just thought he was dead.
Yeah.
And yeah, because I'm sure you were like, I know there are more Green Lanterns, so if he
Exactly.
dies, he dies. And that's a terrible way of looking at it, but I'm gonna say the first time I watched this movie, I was like, because in a lot of these movies, somebody dies. And so I thought, oh, Hal might die. And we bring in John, or God forbid, we bring in Guy, but or maybe even Kyle. But yeah, like, I figured if somebody dies, it's definitely going to be Hal.
I feel like
we got options.
Right. If Jon Stewart would have been in this movie would have been 10 times smoother for the Justice League. Like, John would have been like, oh, you're Batman. Oh, okay. I respect. Hey, Superman. Hey, no disrespect, my guy. We understand we're here just on the same mission, blah, blah, blah. Like, it would have been very civil. Whereas Hal just jumped into problems.
Hal's hubris got him into some trouble multiple times in this movie. Because that whole Batman stealing Hal's ring, like, that interaction wouldn't have happened with John.
Yeah, exactly.
It would have been, like, things would have been very different. But Hal being in this movie added some entertainment.
No, it was way more funny. I'll give you that.
And I thought it was funny that whenever Barry met Batman, Hal was going to be like, because Hal knew what kind of person Barry was, and he figured, we're both funny guys, so this is going to be, an awkward interaction.
Yeah, somebody on my team.
Yeah, and Batman was like, you do fine, efficient work. Good shit. And Hal was like, what the fuck? How have you not heard of me? But you heard, like Hal was.
That's like when you were in school and it was like you didn't do your homework, but you knew the other person who's trash and never does their homework, and then they start walking up there to turn in their homework. You're like, wait, hold on, like, wait, I thought we was in this together. Like, what's the deal here?
What are you doing?
Like, yeah, like, that's not what we do.
Yeah, so that was funny. And then we have Hal gets bitched, which is just great. And then the Omega beams happen.
Yeah.
And Flash and Flash was like, you fast? Superman was like, yeah, I'm fast. Like, all right, we out. And then they dipped out, and when the Omega beams were following them, they were like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like, this is serious.
Yeah. Those things are overpowered.
Oh, the Omega beams are stupid.
Yeah.
I love the Omega beams.
David, have you seen those before?
No.
Okay, yeah. That's like a staple of Darkseid.
Yeah.
Usually,
that's Darkseid.
You get hit with that. Yeah, you get hit with that, you're usually dead. In most stories.
Sometimes you disappear. You're gone.
Yeah, facts.
Like, you are vaporized. Or like there are a lot of different ways they affect people, but usually the whole like showing your skeleton is a part of it. So like, it is very clear that getting hit with that thing, you get fucked up.
Yeah. Usually, like, Darkseid, when like he has a minion, he's in Apocalypse. There's a minion who like fails, and he's like, okay, like, it's a wrap, and he hits him with a mega beam, they're vaporized. You never see him again.
Yeah. And one of the things I love about the Omega beams is they're never in a straight line. They can be, but they're not.
No, they go around.
Yeah, them things will hit hard corners. Like, Like them things, them things got angles on them, and I love it. But and that's the thing. They say like we need to deal with that. Like them beams coming out of his eyes, those we have to do something. We cannot let that continue because they saw what it did to Superman. They saw that it took him out of the equation, and so that's why they were like, we blind him. Like that is victory. And I was like, it's not a bad plan because you see what those eyes are doing. And so Barry is able, because you see, whenever he runs through the parademons and then the Omega beams hit them, they just explode and they're gone.
Yeah.
Superman.
Is that because reasons, or is there a legitimate reason for
that? Reasons.
Yeah, it's kind of reasons. It's kind of just
that.
Like the fact that, because again, the Omega beams can continue forever. So the fact that they hit all those targets and then just kind of stopped, and Flash was like, yeah, I'm good. Like the Omega beams would have just kept going. Yeah. So that was reasons.
Okay.
But yeah, and maybe it's because once it hit Superman, they were like, all right, I'm good.
Yeah.
Like you just like that's what I needed. So yeah. We're done here.
Our target.
Yeah. So Superman gets abducted, and then we see Batman say to Green Lantern, like, hey, we need to connect. And Hal is like, I don't think that you and I are the same. And Batman's like, so you obviously haven't been paying attention.
Right.
Because you and I were at least at some point normal humans. There is an Amazon here, there's a cyborg here, Captain fucking Thunder's here, Superman's here, and a speedster's here. Like, you're just a man like me. Right. You just have a nice ring. But I saw what you were before we got here, Hal. And one thing that I will say is he said he saw the name Hal on his flight suit, and I feel like the flight suit should have said Jordan.
I thought so too, yeah.
Maybe it said Hal Jordan, but I feel like it should have just said Jordan.
Yeah.
Whatever, though. That doesn't matter that much. But we see Batman, explain to Hal, like, hey, this is my backstory. And then we see Batman say, like, I am a normal man, and I'm going to use that to my advantage.
Right.
And Brandon, that's what you were mentioning. Now, one of the things that I loved the Men in Black moment. Because in Men in Black, whenever Kay's gun gets eaten, Kay is like, I'm going to get my gun back.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
And that's exactly, Batman is like,
That's a deep cut reference right there.
I'm going to get my gun back. Because Batman knew, like, no, we're not going to do this without him. Like, I fought him myself. We need him.
I always like that. Like, really, in any iteration, I feel like Batman's always done that. He's like, no, our big gun is Superman. So like, if Superman's ever taken out, he's like, no, I'm going to get Clark. Like, y'all can do your thing. I'm going to get our big gun. Like, and I always respected that.
Yeah, and for two reasons. Well, one, because we see that they eventually become best friends, and so like, I'm going to save my friend. But also, we need him for this fight, but also I don't need y'all to have him.
Yeah, that's facts.
Because whenever Cyborg explained the repurposing of organic material to create the parademons, Batman, I'm sure, was like, oh, the last thing we need is that nigga being a minion of Darkseid? Absolutely fucking not.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to get my gun back. And he puts on a hoodie and he just like whistles for him. It's like, hey, come get me. I'm right here.
Yeah, that was fire to me. I love when he does stuff like that.
Yeah, and then he goes in there and Desaad gets handled because Batman does the same, like the I'm crazy shit. Like Desaad's like, you won't do it. He's like, wouldn't you do it?
Yeah.
Like what makes you think I won't do it?
Right. You know my history?
Yeah, like of course I'm gonna do it. And so down on the ground, Batman tells Hal, like, you are loud, so be loud and get these people together. Like something needs to happen because this isn't working. And so Hal, tries to rally the troops and fails. And Wonder Woman is like, then we blind him. Let's go.
Watch Diana for you. She goes straight for the jugular.
Yeah, let's cut his throat. Like, she's going straight extreme.
And I love it because that's the
Yeah.
thing. Hal was like, so those Omega beams, they're a problem, right? And Diana was like, and I know how to solve that problem.
I've done this to others before.
Fear not, I have the solution.
Right.
Oh, so great. And so we see them fighting Darkseid, and we have good action scenes. We got good things going. Everybody's, trying to work. It's a little disjointed at first, but then they're like, okay, let's get a little rhythm going. And, things start to form a little bit better as time moves on. And we see Batman save Clark because Desaad is like, yeah, the regular ass machine, that's not going to convert you. But here in my personal laboratory, I got something for you. I can convert your ass in here in my private room. And so he's able to cut that off, but then Superman is like, not okay.
Right.
And we don't really see how he gets back. And that's why I just said through the power of friendship, because we see Superman being a crazy person, and then he's just not anymore.
Yeah.
And
there was like one moment where Batman was like, I don't know if he did something with, he like electrocuted him or something, and then they just decided, okay, you're
I don't know, maybe so.
Again, I think it was the power of friendship, because
I'll take it.
Yeah, like he wasn't good, and then he just was good.
I'm trying to remember in the comics. I feel like in the comics it was a little more like fleshed out, obviously because you have more pages and all that stuff, more time. But it was kind of interesting. They kind of just skip right to he's good now.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Like, we see him being like rampagey and violent, and we saw a cool-headed Superman almost ruin Batman's entire day.
That's true.
So the fact that he's like violent and like blind with rage means Batman should not have made it out of that room.
Right.
But Batman had the power of friendship on his side.
True.
And maybe this time Batman was a little more prepared, but regardless, he is able to knock Superman out of this, rage coma. And then they're able to go outside. And of course, again, when Superman lands, he's pissed.
Right.
Because he was pretty much like, how fucking dare you try to convert me? Right. And so he goes down there, and Cyborg is able to say, all right, I know how to get these things back home. So let me go ahead and open that up. So he opens up the boom tubes, and parademons just start floating away.
Yeah.
And that's great. They are able to knock out both of Darkseid's eyes, which, helps, but doesn't do it, because he's blind, but he's still fucking him up.
Yeah.
Like, Darkseid is still absolutely a problem.
He took Darkseid took a lot of punishment and still was fighting through it all.
You're right. He took a lot of punishment. He was still beating their ass a little bit. It was not clear that they were going to win, and they didn't really win. They just they just sent him home, which in this case is a victory. But y'all didn't. I wouldn't call that a defeat.
Yeah, he's coming back. So,
you ended the match, but that was a technical knockout.
Exactly. Yeah.
In that, you sent him away.
Right.
But that one scene where Wonder Woman and Superman are punching him in the chest.
Yeah.
The double time. Oh, that scene was mean. I was like, oh. I really like that. One thing that I forgot to mention is whenever Superman and Wonder Woman see each other for the first time.
Bruh, I was like, are we going to talk about that chemistry?
Yeah, because they immediately were like, oh, I see you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you're strong.
Yeah. They saw each other, and they was like it was on sight.
Yeah,
and that's another thing that was funny is Hal was like, dibs, and then Clark just looked at him.
Bro, literally just like, hey, move along.
Yeah. You got dibs? Oh,
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Anybody says
dibs.
Sure thing. Yeah. Anybody says dibs on a woman, you need to be dealt with.
And that's
to
the
be
thing, like,
handled.
even if Clark wasn't clearly interested, Clark would have been like, we don't do misogyny here.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
It's just
he would have given him something real woke, but because he was interested, it was more like a step back junior.
yeah.
Let
That's
the
like son.
let the
Was that
real
before?
men holler at her.
Was that before or after Diana punched Hal to the ground? Was that Hal that or was that
That was Hal.
that was Hal? Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it was Hal because
okay.
like Hal was his hubris, and so she punched him and she was like, "Stop being fucking stupid."
Yeah.
No, or did she punch Shazam?
That's why I couldn't remember if it was Shazam or
I think it
Hal.
was Shazam because Shazam
No,
was like, "Is that your boyfriend or whatever?"
Or she does punch Shazam because she says to him like, "You're acting like a child."
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right. That's right.
And he's, in the back of his mind, like, well,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. It's funny you say that.
Yeah, I think it is Shazam that she punches. Now that we've talked about it, but Hal got his arm broken, so
Yeah.
he
Hal got
his,
everything that came his. He deserved everything that came his way.
Yeah, he did. Hal was. It was not a good day to be Hal.
And then went home struggling that night.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So they are eventually able to punch Darkseid back into his house. And did Wonder Woman's sword go with him?
yes, because I was going to bring that up because I thought that was interesting that her sword just stayed with him as he went through the called.
I didn't notice that.
Because I think she left the sword in his eye.
Either, yes. Well, they was it in his eye? I thought the first time I don't remember what it was.
I feel like the first time was the sword, second time was the crowbar. Second eye was the crowbar.
Yeah, the second eye was the crowbar.
The sword was stuck in him whenever he left.
Because the crowbar, Flash was like, the fire department was doing something, and Flash was like, "Hey, I need this, thanks."
Yeah.
And he gets the crowbar, and then Shazam hits it with some lightning, and that's what ultimately finishes that second eye.
Yeah.
And
she's gonna get a new sword, man.
And I'm sure that forging one is not going to be an issue. But yeah, like I was saying, I hope that wasn't some special sword because normally she has like a very special sword that can like cut down at the atomic level and that's like sharp enough to do whatever needs doing. Like you could conduct microsurgery with that sword. So yeah, that I hope it wasn't the important sword, but if it was, maybe that's what it took. Was like fucking magic. Because the crowbar wasn't enough. He had to lightning the crowbar for it to be enough.
Right.
And then the magic sword that can pierce anything. Yeah, those two things should, definitely take out his eyes.
Shazam did that Kamehameha on that crowbar.
Oh yeah.
I haven't really seen him use his powers like that.
Yeah, and I liked it.
I did too.
I thought it was great. And so we see them, kind of come out with the victory, and then the president is like, this group of people right here, they saved us all because it was looking very grim. And then we see them having the discussion of like, hey, we should do this. Like this worked. Like this was a successful operation. And some of them are like, no, I got other shit to do.
Right.
Like this is a one-time thing. Like, I don't know about y'all, because Billy was like, "Today I got time. Like, let's go."
Yeah, let's go.
And there were a couple people that were like, "No, I have other things that I'm responsible for. So, let me do that. This was just kind of a one-time team up." And Hal probably was pissed off because Hal was not the smartest or the most powerful person in the room. So Hal was like, "No, I ain't trying to be with y'all.
Yeah, I'm going back to the Green Lanterns.
Yeah, like
where I'm the top guy."
Yeah, like y'all are affecting my self-esteem. And, I can't have that.
Right.
So, yeah, Hal was like, nah, I'm not interested in that.
Yeah.
But, and it was like, do you guys have her name? And Billy was like, the Super Seven. And I was like, ew.
So stupid.
You think of a cornier name than Super Seven.
That's why it was so corny. Like it was corny on purpose. But That's why it was funny. So we had. Do you think there were too many funny characters in this movie? I know that there are some people that take issue with comedic characters, and there are some people that love it and want more of it. So what were your thoughts on the, I guess, amount of and number of comedic things in this movie? Was there not enough? Was there too much? Was it just right? What are your thoughts on that?
Since Jordan's not here, I thought they did a good job with the
Right.
comedic timing, and I didn't think it was too much. I thought, the sheer amount of action kind of bounced it out. I think, I thought Hal was funny, but I thought there were a couple times he might have done a little much. But overall, I thought they did a really good job.
Yeah, I think they did a good job. My only critique was like, I wish we'd have got different kinds of comedy, I guess, because we got Hal, who's kind of more of a bro, gives you kind of that comedy, and then we got Billy Batson give you the same kind of comedy. You know what I mean? But otherwise, Flash, Flash was kind of funny. Funniest part to me was when they took all his burritos, or he took his enchilada at the beginning.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
It was like, guys, I think somebody took mine.
yeah, guys. but but that's the only critique I would have, is just kind of have a different character be that. But DC, there's a ton of funnier characters who's just not going to be in the main lineup. So overall, I thought with the characters they used, yeah, I thought it was pretty good.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think that it was too much, that it was heavy-handed. I think it was the right amount. I will say I would have been okay if it didn't lean as heavily on Green Lantern,
Mm-hmm.
but like if some other characters would have gotten a little more time with comedy, but it was fine. Like, it wasn't an issue. But I
Right.
think Green Lantern is who we saw most of in this movie. Like, because he's who we see. Like, he's who opens the movie as far as like superheroes that we see.
I was surprised we didn't get. Okay, so this Flash was Barry, right?
Yes.
Barry, I feel like Barry's. I guess Wally's the funnier one.
Usually we see Wally being the funny one. As
But
far as
this,
what we've seen, because they're both funny, but
yeah,
I think that as far as Justice League and Flash being the one in the group that's funny, that's Wally.
that's true. Yeah, that's
And
true.
yeah, and that one had Jon Stewart, who is not a comedian.
Yeah, that's true. I guess every time I see Flash, I want the funny Flash.
Yeah.
I don't want, you know what I mean? That's what kind of threw me off about the TV show. Even though I really like the show, it's just like, all right, this like very like broody, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Flash is kind of weird for me, but
And that's kind of what that world was.
no, it was, yeah,
And they usually had like a specific guy for comedy in
yeah, sure,
those. So like Cisco was
yeah,
the funny one in
right,
that show, and then at times different versions of Harrison Wells.
right,
But yeah, like Cisco was like on the books as the funny guy
right, true,
in that Flash show, which I also had to get used to, because I was like, I think Flash should be a little more quippy than this, but
yeah,
whatever. I don't necessarily have to have that. And I will say it was refreshing in that, the MCU has tried to make everybody funny.
yeah,
Like, everybody don't need to be funny.
yep,
It's okay for you to have specific characters that are funny, and it's okay for everyone to have funny moments, but everybody does not need to be the comedian in the room.
right,
And so I think that this movie balanced that pretty well. Because I don't think they leaned too far in any direction. I think that everything was nice and well distributed.
yeah,
And then the last thing we see in the after, I guess, or during credits, after credits, whatever you want to call it, Ocean Master rises from the waters, and he pretty much says, fuck everybody who walks on land because they killed our king.
yep,
and he's kind of unaware of what happened, I guess,
Yeah.
because Atlantis probably doesn't watch the news.
Yeah, they
But
don't care.
yeah, he's just like, yeah, no, yeah, fuck all y'all up here because our king is dead and you did it. And there's gonna be a movie later where
Yep.
we address that, but we will talk about that later when we address it, because the reason these movies are able to have after credit scenes is because they exist in a larger universe of movies, and we have sequels and we have stuff coming up. We have other movies that are happening that exist with these same characters in the same world, in a continuing form, because we have the DC animated movie universe. And I'm so glad we're here. So, gentlemen, scale of 1 to 10.
David, I'll let you go.
Dang, throwing me under the bus first. It's hard because I don't remember what I rated. Was it New Frontier or
Yes.
Yeah, New Frontier. I want to say I was around 7.5, or I don't remember exactly, but I would put this one above that. I thought just action scenes, I mean, just style, like art style, animation, just the whole thing, story. I thought Darkseid was just ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'd probably go 8.5. I'll go.
Yeah. I probably would go, just because I've seen the other ones, so I kind of know like where to tier them. I'm kind of cheating here, but I put this at a strong 8. You know what I mean? I think it's not the best Justice League movie they have in the catalog, which Spencer, I'm sure you'll break down, but it is a good one, and it's off to a great start. Like, it starts this whole universe that I really enjoy. So, yeah, I give it a strong 8.
Okay. I think that I'm going to give this an 8.5 as well. The first time I saw this movie, I was immediately like, oh yeah, that was great. Definitely not the best movie I've seen, but very, very good.
Yeah.
And the fact that this is the first movie, because a lot of times the first movie can be the hardest one to do, because you have to build and establish and you have to lay foundation, and that can be boring. Like,
Right.
it can kind of suck to have to set the table. And I think that this movie does a really good job of that, because one of the questions I was going to ask you, Mr. Percival, is how you feel like this introduction to the Justice League compares to the other one that we reviewed. And this one is better in all of the ways, it sounds like.
Yes, I mean, this one, kind of like you mentioned, there was not really any slow parts, and I felt like New Frontier, I don't remember how long it was. It was just a little over. Are they all similar lengths, a little over an hour or so?
Yeah, like they'll start to get a little longer, but like they all stay around 75 minutes.
Okay. No, but I felt like that. I mean, this one, like I kind of joked earlier, 60 of the 80 minutes. It could be a vast over exaggeration, but that felt like that was pretty much all action. And whereas I felt like the New Frontier, it's not like it was super slow, but there was a lot more dialogue, story development outside of just action scenes. If that makes sense.
Oh yeah, makes perfect sense. Okay. All right, gentlemen. Any other things on this movie? Anything that you want to talk about? You want to mention that you noticed that we didn't talk about?
I forgot to mention Jeff Johns wrote the comic book. He also helped write this movie, so that's why like it's kind of uniform, but it's also like they switch some stuff up too. So just wanted to mention that.
See, and that's another thing that I love that DC does. They get the people that need to be involved.
Yeah, thanks.
Like, DC does not have a problem saying like, hey, let's actually, the people who were behind this, let's get them in the room.
Right.
And that's why I think that's got a lot to do with the success of, and the nice, clean beautiful movie making that a lot of these DC animated movies are, because again, the quality there is superb.
Right.
And a lot of it, I think, has to do with having the right people in the room. And
Yep.
DC, as far as I know, has not had a problem with that. Because anytime you have this amount of media, they're going to be, hits and misses, and there's going to be some things that are just better or worse than others. So I'm not necessarily saying that every single DC animated thing is just perfect, but
Right.
they don't have very many misses.
Right.
Like, it is a
True.
quality product. And
True.
I mean, we're seeing that. Mr. Percival, as somebody who doesn't really have a lot of experience in this, as somebody who's kind of new to it and who has only lightly heard about it, what have you thought so far, generally speaking?
I mean, I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I feel like, or I kind of wish their live action movies could be on par with their animated movies, because if that were the case, I mean, it would be up there with a, the majority of the MCU. I mean,
Yeah.
just not saying all of the MCU, because I think I'm a little biased where I'm much more involved with MCU than I am with DC, and I didn't have the comic book background and um, all this stuff. So I mean, no, it's been a joy, and I'm glad you've done this, because it's kind of opened my eyes to a bunch of um, new media, and so yeah.
See, that's exactly what I wanted. What you said. That's
I'm
that's
sure.
why we're here. That's what we're doing. Bringing this glory to everyone. And yes, I agree. If their live action catalog was as good as their animated catalog, there wouldn't even be a discussion
Yeah.
about who's better. Because it's so good. And again, I think that there are few misses. There are going to be some.
Yeah.
There are a lot of these, and not all of them are going to be just great. There are some that we've talked about that are in like the 6 range, and
Right.
that happens. But a lot of them are just really good stuff. So, um, I again, I appreciate you jumping into this journey with us. Anything else?
That's it, man. Good movie.
Yeah, great
Love the
movie.
Justice League.
Excellent. Excellent. Alrighty. In the next episode, we will be discussing Son of Batman. So until then, salutations.